Hi, this is Shu with a review of the New Balance 2-way. I just can't get used to the way they try to uh, show that this goes both ways, and then the A looks like an X, so everybody thought it was a 2XY when the shoe was first announced. At a glance, it looks like somewhat of a takedown version of the Kawaiis, but it is actually more close to the Omnis in terms of the overall fit and midsole comfort level, I suppose. But it is lower to the ground than the Omnis. The heel feels a little bit more easily compressed compared to the Omnis. The forefoot is pretty much similar to the Omnis, very well lower to the ground than the Omnis, and just as firm and cushioning non-existent, just like the Omnis. So compared to what we experienced with the Kawaiis, this is a very minimal shoe. It's lower. Basically, if you want something low to the ground, low profile, minimal cushioning on the forefoot, sort of like the Under Armour models of early Under Armour models like the Curry 4s. The forefoot is very minimal, and on the heel, there's slight compression, but that's pretty much it. If you're a big person that lands hard on your heel, this is not exactly a shoe for you. And if you are a quick guard who's always shifty on the forefoot and you need some cushioning on the forefoot to prevent blisters, this is not going to get the job done, so that's something you should consider. There's this brain-like pattern, this double, triple, quadruple stitched lines that's supposed to provide multi-directional support. But again, what I talked about with the flywire systems, the flywires work because they had the A to B directional rigidity and support while letting things move from C to D. So you can't have A, B, C, D and say, this is providing a multi-level lockdown. There is no such thing as a multi-level lockdown. It means you just have a piece of cloth there or a piece of plastic. Again, they try to have a multi-direction support, but can't really feel if it's doing anything extraordinary for me in terms of the lockdown. It looks nice, it feels nice, but in terms of performance, I can't really see where they're going with this. So if you look at it side by side, especially on the midsole area, it's very similar to the Omnis. The outsole pattern and the little crow feet plastic plate is pretty much the same as the Omnis. The New Balance logo that's unnecessarily taking up a lot of space, hindering the traction. The New Balance logo area was a little bit slippery for me for the Omnis. It's very similar to that, but the difference is that this New Balance logo has the same pattern as the overall outsole from heel to toe. The pattern, as you can tell, is sort of like that brain pattern that you've seen in Adidas Crazy Explosive. So if you enjoyed that shoe, you will like this just as much. The grooves are a little bit deeper, the blades are a little bit thicker than the Crazy Explosives, but if you're familiar with these kind of patterns that's been seen in, I suppose, the internal parts of the Zoom Freak ones, this part some people found is a lot more slippery compared to the other digital patterns or straightforward line patterns. And for the Peak Underground, this was a great shoe, except the traction on this brainy pattern was a relatively more slippery than traditional herringbone pattern, so it was a little strange. And yeah, you can use this for outdoors or really clean courts, but somewhere in between you're gonna get some slippage, so something you should consider in terms of that. The toe box area, it doesn't have a lot of crazy space, which is a problem I had with the Omnis and also a little bit with the Kawaiis. They solved that problem, but unfortunately the fit is a little wonky. It feels there's a little bit of that space on the front. I went through the size and I felt that there was a little bit of space here. It could be shorter, but on the sides, the width-wise, it felt like there's a little bit of a pinching near the pinky toe area. So if you're used to narrow shoes like typical Kairis, 1 through 5, actually all the Kairis or most of the Kobes, that fits you fine, then you should go for this. And if you have a really narrow foot, you might even want to go down half a size. But personally, average Joes go true to size. Heel cup is very minimal inside, and the heel padding, Achilles pillows, are also very, very minimal, but it does not feel like it's providing crazy slippage, adequate lockdown, I suppose. The biggest point biggest positive point I'd give to this compared to the Kawais is that the Kawais had this really chunky, hard area that just cuts into your Achilles. So unless you have an Achilles made of steel or you wear really thick plastic braces, you're gonna get some chafing there. Unless anatomically that shoe conforms to your feet and ergonomically designed perfectly just for you, maybe that's for you. But for most people, I think this would be a very welcome change from the Kawais. It's a nice slip your foot in, and also there is no chafing or pointy areas that cuts into your foot. The tongue is adequately soft. We have to talk about the tongues because the tongues for the LeBron 18s reminded us that no matter how perfect the shoe may seem, if the tongue is just a piece of paper, and when you lace things down, you're gonna have some hot spots all over on the top of your foot. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about. There is no prominent outrigger, but the midsole is a little chunky, so they do provide some additional, I suppose, counter force, resistance to prevent ankle rollover. But at the same time, this is a very minimal shoe, very low to the ground. I don't think you'll have to worry about rolling your ankles. So for size 9, it weighs about 350 grams, so it's pretty much on the light side. It comes with an Ortholite insole that is true to most other New Balance shoes. It feels like Ortholite mixed with some bits of paper inside. It feels like a little denser. It's not the kind of Ortholite that I personally prefer. And it does provide an additional level of support, additional level of step-in comfort, but it doesn't enhance the experience in any drastic way for, let's say, polyurethane insole that you used to find in the old Adidas model. So yeah, you can switch to whatever insole you like because this is pretty generic, not very impressive. Minimal cushioning in the heel, basically nothing but core feel in the forefoot, and yeah, it's a nice design, nice try, nice price point, but it's not something that I would not be able to find. There will be many other models and other brands that I'd find for that price point to be better than this. So New Balance has a lot more work to do, and they should go back to the drawing board.